Hi, this is Lou, and I'm going to talk briefly about an aspect of strategy that applies to the real world and should apply to games, although sometimes perhaps it does not. And that is to use a scalpel rather than a club. And what I mean by that is you want to use your forces in the way they were intended to be used and use them in sufficient quantity, but not more, to accomplish what you want, and not to just batter away at the enemy. And I'll give some examples from a computer game I play called Empire Enhanced Deluxe Version. Well, in this game, you have fighters and bombers and ships and infantry and armor and so on, like World War II, at least the way I've set it up. And you move one piece at a time, and if it encounters something, it has to fight that single piece. So unfortunately, you don't have an advantage of mass because it's just one-on-one. So if you've got an armor unit, for example, you can attack a lesser unit like infantry or artillery, or you attack a tank and it's a 50-50 battle. If you can pick a place where you have a defensive advantage, then it's not a 50-50 battle anymore. You have a 20% advantage. But in general, it's 50-50, which is really annoying, especially when you get the Superman unit that you keep attacking with things that have even better advantages, and they still keep dying. And the game includes some experience so that if a unit fights a lot, it gets weaker. And if a unit has been rested, it's stronger because of that experience. So the way I play it, I tend to take over, play multiplayer solo, and I tend to take over a position, and then that position is usually very weak, and then I try to win with it, which almost always happens, unless it's very, very, very weak, because the computer opponent is not too good. This game dates from 2014, and the computer opponent does not understand some aspects, even of this version, because it dates from an earlier version. Anyway, let me give some examples of the Scalpel versus Bludgeon. The computer is very aggressive with its aircraft. It builds a bomber and frequently it sends it out to attack. It builds a fighter and sends it on patrol, and when it gets a chance to attack, frequently it does attack, 50-50. Well, fighters attacking bombers win 2/3 of the time. So what I do as a player is hold my aircraft back and use them only when they can gain an advantage. For example, I'll hold the fighters back. I don't like to go 50-50 until a bomber comes along, and then I'll shoot it down 2/3 of the time. Or an enemy air transport comes along, and the computer likes to use air transports for scouts, and I'll shoot it down. And similarly, I'd rather have armor take on infantry. And also, I frequently occupy defensive positions that give me some advantage. So I play defensively rather than attack and let the computer do the attacking. And this, in general, is a good idea in strategy to use your units to the advantage and to be sure that you gain some advantage in the odds, even though you could just fight 50-50 like the computer tends to do. And you can do that in a game, you can do that in reality. So you use your artillery, for example, intelligently. In the game, I like to find a city, and the cities are the productive points, where I can hold up and the enemy can only approach along one way, so they can only bring one unit at a time. It's even better if they have to move through a desert, which is a disadvantage to their defense. So I put light artillery there, which only has a range of 1, but I build up a artillery park, you might say, And then as each unit comes in, uh, I blast it with the artillery and usually kill it. And if I don't, I've got some armor in there to make an attack on the attacking unit, or I've got aircraft that can fly over the city, and then when the infantry attacks, even if it kills the aircraft, which is a 50-50 fight, then I've got another round where I can blast away with the artillery. And the computer opponent is a little bit stupid, of course, so it will keep throwing that infantry or even tanks through that one choke point, and I'll keep blasting them. So the general advice is use your units as scalpels, not as clubs. Find where it's advantageous to use them and use them that way. Thanks for listening.